we're looking at this map prompts to fields concept, which I think again is a core piece. And just to illustrate this now, people would be mad at my brevity, but I want to just share why this is valuable and where we saw this gap here. And so say I'm in an Excel sheet. I've got all this data. Most research teams, what we're seeing they want to do is they want to look at this cancellation reason and they want to look at what could bring you back. And previously, they would actually manually label sort of the theme that had emerged from this. So I canceled due to a lack of features for visually impaired and all these. And so they would go one by one. And you think if this is okay if you've got maybe 10, 20 feedback, but if you got 5,000, 10,000, it just becomes completely unmanageable. So all these teams are trying to understand how to do this more automatically and at scale. And there's a huge blocker to do this. And it's just not really feasible in a system like Excel or Google Sheets. And so that's where this concept of spreadsheets for language data comes. And so how do then people do it? And we were basically hacking our way around to figure this out with a combination of Speak and then spreadsheets. And now with this sort of conceptual framework and this capability, once this goes live, you'll be able to do this. You can have a field called exploratory classification. And just to show just how easy that would be to set up, I can go in here and I can say exploratory classification. I can say basically, I want to identify net new themes from my data. And in this case, this would be a single line text and I can create it. And now if I'm at the folder level, say I'm looking at a bunch of Amazon reviews, once this goes live, I could say, hey, prompt, identify the most relevant theme from this data. Only give me back the theme and nothing else in the response. I think this part is a little bit necessary to be explicit because you're really, again, trying to keep that structure in that format. So that explicit instruction is valuable. And you'll be able to then have this toggle look across those 10 media files. And instead of summarizing this at a folder level, it will then run on each individual file. And then with that other piece that we talked about where you can manage the folders, you'd actually be able to see this from a folder level and be able to then export that in different ways. You could see, okay, here's my exploratory classification. Okay, this one was poor support. This one was insufficient funds. This one was X. And be able to see that from a high level export and then quantify that in a more meaningful manner. Now, what happens is if you do that, the way the system works, it will then spit out a bunch of themes. And those themes could be very unstandardized, I guess would be a way to approach it. And so maybe you get one that is billing and account management, and then another one you get payment issues. And so you do that first run on the exploratory classification, that theme identification, and you say, hey, I actually want to standardize this and run it again. And I want to pick from these 5 themes only. I don't want any other themes. I'm now happy with the main themes. Let's put them into this. And I'm going to then rerun this analysis. So what would I do then? I go back in, I could add my fields here. I can create a field and I could go standardized theme. And I can say, this is my theme after exploratory identification. And this would also be a single line text, and I can hit create. And so now if I was to continue with this example, I would be able to select, I run prompts. I would say, hey, please analyze this feedback and select from the list of themes. And I would say, hey, here's my 5 themes. And just as an example, I'll drop this. I'll pick these 3. You need to pick one of these 3. You can drop that in. And if I hit prompt, I would hit select individually. And then I would say map to field. And we would have that same result. But instead of just selecting unstructured themes, it will pick from these 3. And now you can truly quantify the themes that are emerging across your data set with the exact references of how that works. So that is what this sort of conceptual framework that I'm showing you unlocks. And it's a truly powerful thing. We've seen so many teams struggle with this concept, struggle with this implementation. And I cannot wait to unlock this for you. I truly believe in this part. And there's a lot of great value coming from this question and asking framework that these large language models are opening. But there's more guided uses of this technology like this that I'm walking through that I just think are maybe overlooked or maybe not fully understood on how to be implemented. And so this is a way that you will be able to do it. And it's truly exciting to be able to open up that possibility for you.